The Theranos deception, Elizabeth Holmes. In Silicon Valley, innovation is often celebrated as the engine of progress. Startups promise to change the world. Investors chase the next revolutionary technology, and founders become icons of disruption. But in the 2010s, one company promised a medical breakthrough so extraordinary that it captured the attention of the world. That company was Theranos, and its founder was Elizabeth Holmes. What began as one of Silicon Valley's most celebrated startups would ultimately become one of the most shocking corporate fraud cases in modern history. Elizabeth Holmes founded Theranos in 2003 when she was just 19 years old. A Stanford University dropout, Holmes claimed she had developed a revolutionary technology capable of performing hundreds of medical tests using only a few drops of blood. Traditional blood testing requires large vials and complex laboratory equipment. Holmes promised something dramatically different, a small device that could analyze blood quickly, cheaply, and with minimal sample volume. If true, it would transform healthcare. Patients could receive faster diagnoses, doctors could monitor diseases more easily, and testing could become widely accessible. It was a vision that investors and the media found irresistible. Holmes cultivated an image inspired by technology legends. She wore black turtlenecks reminiscent of Steve Jobs. She spoke about changing the future of medicine, and she presented Theranos as a revolutionary healthcare company. By the early 2010s, Theranos had attracted powerful supporters. Former U.S. government officials joined its board of directors. Major investors poured hundreds of millions of dollars into the company. At its peak, Theranos was valued at approximately $9 billion. Elizabeth Holmes became the youngest self-made female billionaire in the United States. But behind the impressive valuation, serious problems existed. The technology that Theranos claimed to possess did not work as advertised. The company's blood testing devices, often referred to as Edison machines, struggled with accuracy and reliability. Instead of performing hundreds of tests from tiny blood samples, the devices frequently failed. In many cases, Theranos secretly relied on traditional laboratory equipment made by other companies to process tests. Patients and partners believed they were using groundbreaking technology. In reality, the innovation was largely an illusion. The turning point came in 2015. Investigative journalist John Carreyrou of the Wall Street Journal began publishing reports questioning Theranos' technology. Former employees described internal chaos. Whistleblowers revealed that the devices were unreliable. Some tests had produced dangerously inaccurate medical results. The investigation exposed a troubling pattern. Theranos had misled investors about the capabilities of its technology. It had exaggerated the performance of its devices, and it had concealed critical failures from regulators and partners. As scrutiny increased, Theranos began to unravel. Regulators launched investigations. Partnerships with pharmacies and medical providers were suspended. The company's reputation deteriorated rapidly. By 2018, Theranos had effectively collapsed. What had once been a multi-billion-dollar startup had become a symbol of Silicon Valley deception. Federal prosecutors charged Elizabeth Holmes and former Theranos president Ramesh Sunny Balwani with multiple counts of fraud. The charges that the company had deceived investors and patients about the effectiveness of its blood testing technology. Holmes maintained that she believed in the company's mission and denied intentionally misleading investors. But prosecutors argued that Theranos had built its success on false claims. After a lengthy trial, the jury reached its verdict. In 2022, Elizabeth Holmes was convicted on multiple counts of securities fraud and conspiracy. She was sentenced to prison for her role in deceiving investors. The Theranos scandal sent shockwaves through the startup world. For years, Silicon Valley had celebrated bold vision and rapid growth. The phrase "fake it until you make it" was sometimes treated as a startup philosophy, but the Theranos case demonstrated the dangers of applying that mindset to healthcare. In technology startups, exaggeration may be tolerated. In medicine, inaccurate claims can put lives at risk. The story also revealed weaknesses in venture capital culture. Many investors focused on the promise of disruption rather than verifying the science behind it. Theranos operated with extreme secrecy. Independent scientific review was limited, and powerful supporters often trusted Holmes's confidence and narrative. The result was a company that achieved massive valuation without delivering the technology it promised. Today, the Theranos scandal is studied in business schools and regulatory circles around the world. It serves as a cautionary tale about hype, ambition, and the importance of accountability. Elizabeth Holmes once promised to revolutionize healthcare. Instead, her company became a symbol of Silicon Valley's most dangerous illusion, the illusion that vision alone can replace evidence, and that belief can substitute for truth. Theranos reminds us that innovation must be accompanied by transparency, that technology must withstand scrutiny, and that trust, once broken, can collapse even the most celebrated companies. Because in the world of science and medicine, there is one rule that cannot be ignored. Claims must match reality. And when they do not, the consequences can be devastating.
And we'd like to see a world in which every person gets access to this type of basic testing.
Elizabeth Holmes had a vision that turned her into a billionaire, that she could create a machine that she called the Edison, that could detect hundreds of diseases with just a few drops of blood. The pitch convinced some very important people. This used to be the very plush and very expensive head offices of Theranos, and the great and the good came here. Even Joe Biden, when he was vice president, came to California and heaped praise on the company. Success seemed inevitable.
Well, this is my certificate for Theranos showing my shares, and it was actually signed by Elizabeth Holmes. A sad bit of history, but history nevertheless.
Eileen LaPera was a secretary in Silicon Valley. She heard about this amazing new company.
My boss had indicated that it was going to be, in his words, the next Apple, and that I should get as many shares as I could. And so I did. It was 6 figures, which was a large amount for me.
Theranos went bankrupt following a series of reports in the Wall Street Journal questioning the accuracy of its tests as well as its business practices.
What Eileen didn't know was that the dream Elizabeth Holmes was selling was a nightmare. The technology didn't work, but investors like Eileen had no idea.
Elizabeth was in stealth mode, so that we had no idea whether it was going well or was on the brink of collapse.
The retail giant Walgreens had a contract with Theranos to diagnose patients with its machines. However, the court heard that Theranos wasn't using its Edison machines, but was instead using openly available diagnostic equipment. The court also heard that some patients had been misdiagnosed.
I just really resent that somebody would make such a massive fraud, especially when so many people told her this isn't working.
Elizabeth Holmes has argued at trial that she had always attempted to create a genuine product that worked, and that she never intended to commit fraud. What happened behind those closed doors has led to a lot of introspection here in Silicon Valley. But there's still a culture of faking it till you make it here, and until that changes, people worry that what happened in Theranos could happen again.